Thanks for tuning into Ion Music. My name is Carrie Humphries. Tonight we're at the Registry Theatre in downtown Kitchener checking out the Allister Bradley CD release party. Let's go on inside and check it out. Thanks so much for watching Ion Music. My name is Carrie Humphries, and tonight we're at the Registry Theatre in downtown Kitchener for the Allister Bradley CD release party. Hello, Allister. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
This is exciting. Registry Theatre is one of those places where, I mean, it's so intimate in the sense that it's got like the opera seating, and everybody's just kind of focused on the stage. There's no real ambient noise. People aren't talking at tables and stuff like that. Was that the reason why you're here tonight?
Yes. Yeah, I've played so many shows in clubs where people are swilling beer and talking, and you're hearing the sound of, whatever, espresso makers and everything in the background. And I love being able to sit down and converse with an audience in the kind of setting where in between songs you could hear the pin drop. Mm-hmm. And the audience is full of people that have come out to hear some music. Yeah,
they've specifically decided that they want to come and see your CD release party and just kind of wander on in. Yeah. That sort of idea. Yeah. Love it. I mean, and the other thing too with being at the Registry is now you're full band. And I was listening to some sound check up there, and I've seen you solo, fantastic, of course, and then of course with the duo, Bradley Robinson. Mm-hmm. But seeing you full band, I mean, that was a whole other element for me tonight. I was like, wow, he's really rocking it up there.
It's great. I love playing full band, and I can't get enough of it. Part of it is because I play so many shows where I'm doing everything. I'm carrying the rhythm, I'm carrying the bass and everything, because I'm a solo guy. I miss being able to stretch out on the piano, make those solos a little bit longer, mm-hmm. and I miss the opportunities to actually not play.
Right.
So, when there's somebody else on the stage that can take a bit of attention and do a bit of a bass solo or whatever, I really dig that.
Did I notice that you're playing with a track? Was that your vocals that I was hearing in the background?
Yes, I'm sort of doing the Dan Fogelberg. It's me and me and me and me and me. It took so much of my brain to get the band coordinated and the arrangements for the band that there wasn't really enough of me left to figure out how to get the singers I wanted on stage, and I decided that because this really is a singer-songwriter show, mm-hmm. it's really a singer-songwriter album, mm-hmm. that those were less important. Part of it is probably 80% of these songs don't have any backing vocals in them, mm-hmm. and then there's the ones that are just so big they need to have all those voices. So yeah, I put a few phrases in the sampler from the original album recordings, okay. And I'll be triggering them with my feet.
Is that how it works?
That's how it works.
Wow, that's tricky.
So when they're miscued, it's all me.
So it's all your fault anyhow.
Yeah.
And now, okay, so this record, this is your third album,
yes.
Third full-length album. I don't know, did you have an EP somewhere along the way?
No.
So this is your third record, third full-length record, and it's called Never Came Down. Tell me about the title of this record.
It's a song that I wrote when I was contemplating how badly we behave as society. Okay. We've had so much opportunity to evolve and to become people that really can get along and share the space, and for some reason we can't. So I wrote, the song, and the catchphrase was really, it's as if we have never come down from the trees. This is as if we never came down. And every time I record an album, I don't like an album title that doesn't match any of the songs. Okay. I prefer to think of this collection of songs, which one sort of most reflects the place I'm in right now. Mm-hmm. And that was the one that came to mind.
This whole record, I mean, we've reviewed it, we've heard it, I've played it on my show. I think it's just such a wonderful record. Loving the track Breakfast at Timmy's. This is so much fun. I mean, now, is this one of those moments where you actually went to Tim Hortons, sat down, and penned a track?
No, to be honest, this is the one that was written the longest ago, so I remember very few details about how it started and at what point I was actually committed to Timmy's. But I love writing a song like this where Timmy's isn't the story of the song, but it's something that I can write everything around. The story is about somebody who right now doesn't have anybody at home with him. He's alone, he knows other people, they're happy at home. So while everybody else is having their breakfast at home, he's going to go away from home. He's going to go have breakfast at Timmy's. So So Timmy's was just sort of the excuse to give me a place that everybody would recognize.
Now you are a musician, you are a composer, you write arrangements for all the other pieces that are a part of the music. So that to me, multi-instrumentation is just amazing. But where did this all begin for you? I mean, we're 3 records deep now, but you've been a musician a long time. Tell me about that.
Music has always just been one of those things that I relate to. And when I was, I don't know how old, 3, 4 years old, I was hearing songs, I was humming them, I was tapping beats on the change in my pocket and driving my parents crazy. It was always there, and it always had to come out. And I was about that young, 3, 4, maybe 5, when I first sat down at an organ and I started playing the songs I was hearing on the radio. Just working out, how does that melody line go? And figuring it out.
And lots of people who are pianists, of course, they have these dreaded stories of their parents who left them along to piano lessons, and they sit down at that piano, and parents are saying, back straight, keep your posture. What was it like for you? When did you start your piano lessons?
Well, my parents would have put me in lessons earlier, and it would have been organ lessons. Mm-hmm. But I was too short, I couldn't reach the pedals. So I had to wait a few years, and then I think I was 7 or 8 when I first started taking organ lessons. And I suppose it's ironic because I didn't stick with organ for very long at all. It was a year or 2 in that I switched to piano, which I could have been doing at the age of 3 or 4.
Right.
Who needs those pedals? But it all started that young. Mm-hmm. And I forget the other half of your question.
It was the idea of sitting there and just kind of recalling the moments of when you're forced to practice. I remember being forced to sit down, and my mother would be yelling at me to keep my back straight and fingers arched, etc., etc. But I mean, you go forward from there. There's that point with kids where they're like, piano lessons too. I can't wait to get back to my piano. When did that happen for you?
Well, I do clearly recall moments when I was in my early teens, and because my mother knew better, she knew that if she wasn't supervising, I wouldn't practice.
Okay.
So she dictated that your practice time is 5:30 to 6:30 in the morning. So that, because she was a working mom, so she knew that if I got home from school, the TV would go on and I wouldn't practice, and then she'd come home and be making dinner, and so that was it. 5:30 to 6:30 in the morning was my practice time. But you know how we set our thermostats on a timer? Well, the thermostat didn't come on yet. So the furnace didn't come on. So I'd be sitting at the piano. You can picture this, a teenager sitting at the piano with a duvet around his shoulders to stay warm while he's practicing piano. And I won't say I enjoyed it, but it was good for me.
And what time do you practice now?
Anytime. Anytime.
Is it still 5:30 in the morning?
No, more likely it's 11:30 at night. And we've enclosed in our house. We've enclosed the room where all the recording gets done and where the instruments are, so that I could be playing at 11:30 at night, and the kids.
Oh, and what about influences, though? I mean, every kid, every teenager, every musician has somebody that sort of has influenced their work in one way or another, or at least has done something, or has some sort of a body of composition that you've said, you know what, I could do that, I love that, and somebody you listen to on the sidelines. So who is that for you?
Well, certainly they were the artists that I could emulate solo. So as much as in the 80s I was listening to Depeche Mode and OMD and Duran Duran, they weren't really the kind of acts that you could sit down at the piano and emulate as much as an Elton John or a Billy Joel or a Bruce Hornsby. So I was leaning towards those guys, and Howard Jones, all the keyboard players. So in fact, when I play with musicians nowadays and they say, have you ever played this? And they pull out some classic rock guitar riff, and I say, well, I really never listened to those guys because it was guitar music. I was always listening to either, strictly piano songwriters, or I was listening to the stuff that was on my parents' playlist, the 70s pop. So ABBA wrote some great songs.
Yeah, they sure did.
They knew how to do it.
It's a great musical.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny too. I was going to ask you this. I mean, you do hear about people who start off in piano and then they sort of branch into guitar and maybe some other different types of instrumentation. So what was it for you that made you stick with the keys instead of maybe going on and learning to play the guitar?
Maybe laziness.
That was so honest.
Well, yeah, I'm an honest guy. I have been kind of blocked mentally for a long time, thinking that it was really hard to play guitar. because I'm used to this keyboard laid out in front of me where everything is linear. If you go further to the right, the notes get higher, but that's not always the case on the guitar.
Right.
And so it didn't make sense to me until my son started taking guitar lessons, and I started watching him play, and I started thinking, you know what, I could do this, and I played it more and more and more, and now I'm writing on guitar.
That's awesome. And I mean, what a great change of pace too. I mean, you're 3 records deep. You've had this great long career so far, and now you're getting into guitar. So maybe we'll see you pull out like the saxophone in 10 years. What do you think?
I have a saxophone at home.
Yeah,
I played saxophone in high school.
Well, see?
I haven't played it much since. Again, soloist, saxophone. Maybe on the street corner. But,
Men at Work had some great saxophone riffs in their stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about the records. We're going to talk about this particular album that you're coming out with tonight here at the Registry Theatre. You're watching Ion Music. Don't go away. Thanks so much for tuning in to Ion Music. My name is Carrie Humphries, and tonight we're in downtown Kitchener at the Registry Theatre for the Allister Bradley CD release party. Allister, are you getting nervous at all for tonight?
No, I've been so occupied with all the details that I haven't had a chance to get nervous.
When do you get nervous? Do you get nervous?
Yeah, I do. Usually it's right at the moment I hit the stage.
Mm-hmm. And then what happens? Do you do a cheer or a chant or a prayer maybe before you get on the stage?
I haven't figured anything out.
Well, you're playing full band tonight. I guess that would have been a question that would have been applicable to when you're playing solo, and that might have been strange.
Yes, and I have a much harder time when I'm playing solo, of course. When I'm on stage with a band, if I forget something, I can just ease off a little bit and the band keeps the song going, as long as I'm not forgetting the words. But I did a show on a cruise ship. I wasn't hired to be on the cruise ship. We just happened to be on a cruise, and I said to the director, I said, "Hey, I'm a songwriter. Can I be part of that show?" And they said, "Sure." So of course they tested me out first to make sure I wasn't just blowing steam. But I did one of my songs from the latest album. I Win solo at the keyboard, and my mouth got so dry. It was like a desert in there. And I just plowed through it. And my wife was in the audience saying to herself, I can hear it. She knew what I was going through. And luckily, I think most people in the crowd didn't know, because it's so obvious to me up on stage that I've got no liquid in my mouth when I need it. But you fight through it.
And talking about being up on stage tonight, it's your CD release party, so you get to pick the opening acts. Who you got playing for you tonight?
I have 2 great friends, Ian Reid and Jeanette.
And
Flamenco Jeanette.
Flamenco Jeanette. Is he going to bring any belly dancers with him tonight, do you think?
I didn't ask.
You totally should have. You forgot. But so why Jeanette and why Ian?
Well, I have a long list of songwriter friends that I know, and when I sit down to think who's going to open the show, I try to think of what would be a good match for me. I don't think it would make sense to have an R&B act come and open for me, because people that want to come see me probably aren't the same people that want to go see an R&B act. But certainly singer-songwriter acts, and these 2 guys are guys that I've played with a couple times, shared the stage with them. And I know that they can get up and tell a good story and entertain. Now, you are from the region, so you are a region musician. You're from Guelph, actually. Do I have that right? I'm from a lot of places. Originally Montreal. Did a lot of growing up in Toronto. And then I came here to Waterloo for that math degree.
Like everybody else.
That I'm using to its fullest at the moment.
Okay. And now, of course, Jeanette and Ian. Ian's from Guelph and Jeanette's from Kitchener. There is a great, vibrant music community that's sort of festering right now in the Tri-Cities and Guelph. So tell me, as somebody who, come from Montreal, kind of did some stuff here in Waterloo, what is it like for you then, being a musician in this community?
I don't know how to answer that question, because while I do a lot of gigging here in KW and the surrounding area, I do a lot of shows in Toronto, and I like going to Toronto because I can hit so many different audiences.
You actually engineered this record yourself. Do I have that right? You produced it and you engineered. Like, this was really a do-it-yourself. I mean, and you weren't like that actually for the previous 2 albums. This is the first time that you had done that. Do I have this all right?
You have it all right. I am a control freak. It's true.
That's what I was trying to say in that.
My pattern, when I want to embark on something new, if I don't know what I'm doing, typically I'll hire a professional.
Okay.
And I'll watch them really closely. And I did that with my first 2 albums. I worked with Darren Walters. He produced the first 2 albums. And he did a fantastic job. And, you know, it's not that we split up or anything. We're still great friends. In fact, he's doing sound for me tonight at the Registry Theatre. But it was to the point where I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to see, can I do this? And I knew in the back of my mind that if I failed dismally, then I could always call Darren and say, save me.
Nice.
And he would. So the challenge at first was, how do I get those crucial bed tracks recorded, the drums and the bass? You need a good space for that. And the studio that I have in my house is great for a lot of things. It's not great for drums. So getting this phone call that says you get free studio time, and it happened just as I decided to write the album, in fact. So the timing was perfect. And I planned it to take bass and drums down in New Jersey, record as much as we could. And the way things work nowadays, you bring your hard drive to the studio. Once you're done, they unplug it. You take the hard drive home, and then all the overdubs, the re-recordings of the piano parts, the guitar parts, all the vocals, the orchestration was all done at home.
Wow, wow! It just sounds like such a massive amount of work. I mean, so how long did it actually take you from the time that you said, you know what, I'm going to make this record, to the time that we are here? How long was that?
The short answer is it took far too long.
Will you do it again then?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Well, that's good.
I'll definitely do it again. I've learned so much doing it this way. The reason it took so long was because I would get to a certain point and I wasn't satisfied.
Okay.
And so I did a lot of studying in engineering techniques, tracking techniques, even orchestration techniques, to get myself to the point where I was confident, yes, I can try this again and I'll like it more.
Right,
this
of
time.
course. And now you're actually working with other artists who have come to you for production, and we're going to talk more about that. We're going to talk about tonight's CD release party. Plus, you've actually got some family members who are here tonight that are helping out with the show. More with Allister Bradley here at the Registry Theatre. You're watching Ion Music, and we'll be back after this.
That phone just calls my name.
Thanks once again for watching Ion Music. My name is Carrie Humphries. Tonight, downtown Kitchener at the Registry Theatre. I'm here talking with Allister Bradley for his CD release party, the 3rd record in a wonderful collection of songs. I tell you, I absolutely love this record. Never Came Down. How excited are you for tonight?
It's a night that for a long time didn't seem like it was ever going to happen.
We're going to touch on this because this album actually dropped in July of 2011. It is now January of 2012. What took so long?
I'm a slow learner. I'm slow with most things. I'm very deliberate about everything. So I think that's the perfectionist tendency buried deep inside my brain. That if it ain't right, it's not going out. So that's why the album took so long, and getting everything together to have this release happen tonight, it took me, almost as long, it seems, to
put it all together,
to get all the ducks in a row.
And when we're talking about putting together tonight's show, I mean, you are playing full band. Who do you got in the band tonight?
I have my favorite rhythm section in the world, Adam Bowman on drums, Matt Lima on bass, and then here's a good story for you. The 2 guitarists on stage, one of them is my son Sean, and the other is his guitar teacher, Jason Walsh.
Awesome.
Because my son is such a fanatic about guitar. He is eating up as much as he's got so many books at home of guitar music, and he's playing all styles of music. So I knew this was an opportunity I could not pass up to give him the chance to join me on stage.
Would this be his first performance then? Is this his debut?
Well, not exactly, but in this context, yeah, it's the first thing he's done of this size.
It really is a family affair tonight. I saw your wife up there and your daughter's up there. What are they doing here tonight, Michelle? Besides watching?
My wife Karen is the house manager tonight, so she's making sure everything that I don't have to worry about gets done. And my daughter Heather is doing merch sales and refreshments and selling admission at the door.
You know, earlier in the interview, you had said that you actually managed to soundproof part of your house. Now they're here selling merch and acting on stage. I mean, you must have such a supportive family. That's got to be awesome.
Oh, I sure do. I sure do. Never does a day go by that I don't remember how lucky I am to have not only, you know, people that will put up with what I do in the house, but will actually encourage me to go further.
So we've got our third record. You've got a great full band up there tonight that are going to be performing. Junaid Yekiner is going to be opening the show, followed by Ian Reid, and then of course the full band. Another CD release party coming up in Toronto next week. I mean, you make me look bored. You're really, you know, have so much going on. What's coming up for you then after the CD release party that's happening in Toronto? What's going on next?
A deep breath.
Yeah, that's good.
A deep breath.
Another cruise?
Oh, well, sure. Who's paying? But, I do have a handful of studio projects on the go.
Okay.
And it's funny the way things work nowadays. I don't have any studio clients here in town.
Okay.
But I record for some clients in Toronto, and a fella down in Detroit, and another fella in Newfoundland. And we do a lot of work long distance. And then when the crucial time comes, they'll actually come up to Kitchener and record what we need to have done. So I love that. I love being in the studio. I love working with somebody else on their songs, bringing everything to a full, complete realization.
And when somebody approaches you, what's the first thing you say to them when they say, you know what, I think I'm ready to translate all my music into an actual album? What's the first thing you say to them? What's your advice?
First thing I say to them is do it. Make it happen. I usually relate it to buying your first house. You don't know what your first album is going to be. You don't know what you want. I mean, there's guys like Prince that know everything, and you know his first album was phenomenal. But generally, you know, songwriters, indie artists, I don't think they have an idea of what it can be and what it should be until they've done it. So it's like buying your first house. When you're in your first house, you love it the first week, and then you start to notice, oh, I wish it had an extra bathroom. I wish the kitchen was bigger. I wish it was brick on the outside. All these things are very much like when you put a CD out, and then 6 months later you sit back and you look at it and say, I wish I had done something a little bit differently. I wish I had either finished writing the songs or you know, arranged it differently or recorded it differently. And then you're ready to go and do album number 2 with all of that behind you. So that's what I say, do it.
What do you think it is about you, though, that is really bringing people to you to say, you know what, Allister, I love your work and I want to work with you? What is it about you that's bringing the musicians out?
I make a mean cup of coffee.
Oh, that's a good start.
I do. Gotta have the coffee. I think it can't hurt at all that I'm a songwriter and that I'm really hard on myself as a songwriter, so I'm hard on them as a songwriter as well. It's collaborative. Recording is collaborative, writing can be collaborative, and it's beautiful when it is collaborative and when it works. So, you know, for so many songwriters, they need some support and encouragement along the way. And they need somebody who isn't going to be like mom, somebody who's going to say, you know what, this one just isn't done yet, so we shouldn't record this song. And I think with the relationships that I've been able to build with songwriters that I meet at this workshop in Toronto, we tend to get along in that way, that they like what I do, and it helps that I'm able to show them, here's songs I've written, and here's songs I've recorded.
And they must prefer your honesty.
I hope so.
Because you're very honest. You've been in a very honest interview tonight. It's been good. It's great. All right, congratulations on everything that you've accomplished coming up to tonight, and certainly going forward. I'm so proud of you, and I love the fact that we met at a songwriting competition. And because honestly, Allister, I just it was such a world, and it opened us up, and I get to see all the stuff that you're doing, and I'm so glad to be here tonight. So congratulations to you, and why don't you tell all our viewers at Ion Music how they can get in touch with you, find the tour dates, and where to get this new record?
Certainly, it's www.allisterbradley.com. I'm looking at the camera now. That's Allister spelled A-L-L-I-S-T-E-R, and Bradley with an E-Y.com.
And what are you looking forward to tonight? What's that one thing that you just can't wait for?
There's something about being on stage, the lights are on, the band is playing, and it's a moment of delivering that experience to people in the audience, but being right in the middle of it, right in the whirlwind. It's indescribable. But that's what I'm looking forward to.
Thank you so much, Allister. You've been watching Eye on Music. My name is Carrie Humphries. Catch us next week right here for Eye on Music.